talk tonight. My name is Megan Powell. I'm the Director of Marketing here at Archbold. Now I'd like to introduce our speaker. So tonight's Health Talk is presented by Robert Anello, Registered Dietitian at Archbold Memorial Hospital. Robert received his Bachelor of Science degree in Dietetics from the University of Cincinnati and completed his Master of Science in Nutrition and Food Science at Florida State University. He is a member of our outpatient dietitian team at Archbold Memorial Hospital. Please help me welcome Rob.
All right, so thank you, Megan, for the introduction. Thank you for everyone for coming. First, before we get anything started, is Jewel out there? Can we get Jewel in here real quick? Okay, so this is Jewel Wilson. She's one of the chefs that we have in the kitchen today, and she actually prepared all of the food that you guys are eating today. So please give her a big round of applause. Thank you, Jewel. All right, so again, thank you everyone for coming. One of my main responsibilities is working in cardiac rehab. Part of what we do with that is we try to get people to start exercising a little bit and eating healthier diets. Those cardiac patients tend to get referred because they've had stents placed or they've had heart attacks. So part of what I do is kind of teach a healthy diet. Low saturated fat, low trans fats, low sodium, try to get them back on track. Now, I have a particular interest in cardiac health because I myself am a cardiac patient. I have high blood pressure. I have had 2 stents placed. I've also had reconstructive surgery on my aorta. So I know from personal experience what it's like to follow a cardiac diet and how difficult it is to try to do that. So a lot of what this presentation shows are things that I've experienced, things that other cardiac rehab patients have experienced, and things that I've learned throughout my schooling. So first, kind of a disclaimer. Following a low sodium diet is good, but a diet that's going to be high in saturated fat, trans fats, salts, sugar, those are going to contribute to heart disease, okay? So just decreasing your sodium intake is going to help, but it's not going to be the only thing you want to do. Now this presentation is going to just talk about salt, and you can talk about salt for hours, how we're going to decrease it. So just remember, salt will help if you decrease it, but you want to do a number of things to try to decrease your incidence of developing heart disease. Now, a little bit of background on heart disease. I'm sure we've seen the stats for what heart disease does, how many people it kills a year. Well, again, in 2015, it was the #1 killer, again, in Americans. And heart disease does not discriminate to any one population. It's the #1 killer in men, women, African Americans, whites, Native Americans, and the #2 killer in Hispanics in this country. So it affects every single population in this country. So all of us really need to watch how much sodium we're putting into our body. Now, salt versus sodium. We've heard those terms used interchangeably. What's salt? What's sodium? Am I supposed to be looking for a particular one? Salt is what comes in your salt shakers. That's what salt is. Salt consists of 2 minerals, sodium and chloride. We're more concerned about sodium for this, okay? Now, when it comes to sodium, there's about 40% sodium in your typical salt shakers. Now, depending upon whether it's table salt, sea salt, Himalayan salt, which is the big craze now, there's going to be various amounts. But generally, you're looking at about 40% sodium. General intake for the population is less than 2,300 milligrams. Now, to put that in a perspective, that is 1 teaspoon. That's what's recommended. Eye-popping, I know. Normally, we get 2 to 3 times that, sometimes even 4 or 5. Okay, so the national average is about 5,000 to 6,000 milligrams that we take, sometimes even higher if you're looking at different types of research. Okay, now those of us that are over the age of 50, have hypertension, have kidney disease, or diabetes, our intake 1,500 milligrams. That's less than 3/4 of a teaspoon. Very little. Okay, so definitely want to watch how much sodium you're putting in, and generally about 75% of our sodium intake is coming from processed foods. Now a lot of those I'll show you later on in this presentation what foods have the highest amounts of sodium. So what's sodium? Sodium is not a bad thing actually. Sodium is actually really good. It's one of those electrolytes, one of those minerals that we need that's essential for blood pressure and for blood volume. Now, once you start having that, if you have too much of it, like we've seen in our diets, what can happen is water starts pulling into your blood vessels. Once you start having that, your blood vessels tend to get bigger, and now you have high blood pressure. The heart has to work a lot harder to try to pump all of that blood. Here's a picture of it. So what you see, your normal blood vessel, not a whole lot of sodium, not a whole lot of water in it. Blood's pumping normal, the heart is good. On the other side, high intake of sodium. What happens is we start pulling a lot of water from different parts of the body, so now your blood vessels have a lot of water in them. So now with this giant volume of blood in your blood vessels, the heart has to work a lot harder to pump that. So if you're putting a lot of sodium into your diet over a long period of time, the heart's going to be working a whole lot harder to try to pump all that. It gets tired over time. That's when we start having heart failure. We can start having aneurysms, strokes. That's where all of that comes from. So decreasing your sodium intake, this is what's going to definitely help you. Now we know what sodium is. Are all salts created equal? As I said before, there's table salt, sea salt, Himalayan salt, salt substitutes. We'll kind of go over those. What's the difference in all of those? Sea salt to table salt. Sea salt kind of got this connotation that it's a healthier version of table salt. Sea salt is just produced from evaporation from salt water. Okay, so all it is you get this evaporation, you're left with sea salt, very minimal processing. When that happens, you're left with trace amounts of calcium, phosphorus, potassium, other trace elements. A lot of elements that are good for you, but very small amounts are found in sea salt. But you're also left with sodium and chloride, which is what salt is. Table salt, on the flip side, found in the ground. You have to process that a lot. You have to clean it a lot. What you're left with is sodium and chloride and nothing else. That's it. Not a whole lot of difference, though, when you look at what the actual sodium content is each of them. Okay, so when you look at Morton sea salt, 560 milligrams in 1 teaspoon, in 1/4 of a teaspoon. When you look at table salt, 560 milligrams in 1/4 of a teaspoon. No difference. Now, you might get different versions of sea salt. You might get different brands of table salt, sea salt. So they might be, you might have different amounts of sodium. If they have the same amount, there's really no difference because what you're looking for is how much sodium is in products. So if they're the same amounts of sodium, there's not really too much of a difference. What about salt substitutes? Now, working with patients in cardiac rehab, I tend to go over salts and sea salts and different kinds of salts they use. Salt substitute comes up quite a bit. So people always ask me, is that a good thing to use? Well, salt substitute is potassium chloride. So instead of using sodium, it uses potassium. Potassium is an essential mineral as well. It's kind of the jack of all trades mineral. Helps in a lot of different things. A couple of them being muscle contraction, heart rhythm, as well as putting nutrients into cells and carrying waste out of cells. Now, you can definitely use salt substitutes as an option. However, if you're someone who suffers from a kidney disease, generally it's not a good idea to go overboard on these salt substitutes because the amount of potassium can build up in your body, causing a lot of issues. Also with heart patients, if you're taking certain medications, specifically diuretics, so water pills, Lasix, what can happen is a lot of those medications are potassium sparing. What that means is if you have a potassium sparing drug, you're holding on to a lot of potassium, which heart patients tend to be a little deficient in. So if you're using a lot of salt substitute, you can have higher amounts of potassium in your blood if you're using a lot of it. Now, not cause for concern, but if you are a little concerned, you're more than welcome to ask me afterwards. Ask your doctor next time you go, is it safe for me to continue using salt substitute products? So, now we've gone through the education of salts, sodium. This is the stuff that I think is going to be very eye-popping to a lot of people. What foods are highest in sodium? So, these are called the salty six. You got your cold cuts, pizza, soup, chicken, breads, and sandwiches. these are what are going to be high. These are going to be high amounts of sodium foods, okay? So what I did for these was I went through the city of Thomasville, restaurants, things you can eat, you can buy at certain grocery stores. These are what are going to be high. So these are all local places. First up, let's do some cold cuts. Looking at cold cuts, I did all kinds of brands. Looking at Hillshire, we did Land of Forest, Sara Lee, and the different kinds. Ham, turkey, roast beef, chicken. As you can see how much sodium is in these. Ranges from about 450 to 700 milligrams for 4 to 6 slices. So if you're someone who eats a lot of deli meats, definitely look to see how many slices you really want to put on there. Also look to see if there are reduced sodium ones. So I know Hillshire Farm, for example, has a lower sodium option. So definitely look to see if there are lower sodium options for any kind of deli meats that you're having, and think about how many slices you really want to put on that piece of bread. Pizza. I love pizza. So this one definitely hurts me a lot to put all this on a presentation. You got Little Caesars, Domino's, Papa John's, all available here in Thomasville. Sodium content, 420 to 760 milligrams. Now guys, oh, whoops, there we go. That's per slice. That's not a whole pizza. That's just per slice. You buy yourself a large pizza and it's cut into 8 slices, that's 1 slice. And that's just a cheese. These are all cheese pizzas. There's no pepperoni, no bacon, no ham, no sausage. You're someone who wants to put ranch or hot sauce on your pizza, that's adding more sodium to it, okay? Most of the sodium actually comes from the crust. So if you want to cut this piece of pizza into 16 pieces and have yourself a slice, you can actually cut that in half. Now, it may not be appetizing as much, but you're definitely decreasing the amount of sodium you're getting in. So pizza is definitely something that's going to be very high in sodium. Soups. We kind of know soups have a lot of sodium in them. Problem is, when you start looking at, you got these Campbell Chunky soups that are heart healthy. I don't know, that looks like a lot of sodium to me in 1 cup. Now we'll talk about what, now this is a picture of what that is. Now you see this heart healthy heart? We'll talk about that later on, what that actually means, okay? Now, you got Applebees, you got ChickfilA soups, 1,000 milligrams in 1 small bowl, which is what that is. Small bowl of soup, 1,000 milligrams. So you're almost at your limit for 1,500 milligrams a day if you're someone who has heart disease, kidney disease, and diabetes. Now, this next slide is going to be pretty eye-opening to a lot of people. Definitely was for me. Let's look at chicken. Ooh-wee. Okay, Zaxby's. Now, I am born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. Okay, so I'm from the north. I did not know what Zaxby's was until I moved down here a couple years ago. Looking at Zaxby's, once I had it, I was like, this is one of the greatest fast food places I've ever had chicken from. Then I found out why. There's so much sodium in those foods. So when people from cardiac rehab, you know, those cardiac rehab patients are telling me, I love to eat at Zaxby's. It's one of my favorite places to go. I try to tell them, there's not really a whole lot of things you can order from there because you're going to definitely go over your sodium limit depending on what you get. Next one, Applebees. Applebees has this cedar grilled lemon chicken dish. 2,400 milligrams of sodium in it. Now, here's the kicker for this one. You see this little heart? This is a picture of it, by the way, right here on your left. There's a little heart above that. On Applebee's menu, they have a lighter fare part of their menu, and that's what the cedar grilled lemon chicken falls under. So certain things are 700 calories and under. Lower in fat, lower in trans fat, so that's good. But in order to give you more flavor on those things, you got to put a lot of salt in that to make it taste good. So Applebee's tends to have a lot of sodium in their dishes as well. Rounded out, Chick-fil-A, Longhorns, a lot of sodium in their dishes, okay? Chicken sandwich, Parmesan chicken, all high in sodium. So just take notes on things. If this is something that you tend to order, don't worry. We'll go over some tips on how you can decrease how much sodium is actually in these dishes. Now, I didn't cover breads because typically you eat breads with sandwiches. So I kind of skipped over breads, but this is why. Now, Sandwiches encompass 3 of the 6 foods: deli meats, chicken, and bread. So you can kind of go over your sodium limit just in one sandwich. Now looking at these, you got Jimmy John's, Subway, Publix. Depending on what you get, you're going to have different amounts of sodium. But this last one, Burritos. Burritos actually has partnered with Archbold's Live Better program. The Live Better program is kind of geared towards Thomasville residents to kind of decrease obesity, decrease heart disease, trying to decrease the amount of diseases that we have in the city, okay? So they have partnered with Burritos as offering better choices for a lot of the residents, okay? When you walk into Burritos, there's going to be a sign, and it'll say what the Live Better program means, what are some things you can order on there, and how much sodium is in those. Now, under 600 milligrams is what an entree is. So you're definitely staying under your limit for a meal. However, you can definitely order things at Burritos that are not going to be sodium friendly. One of those things, Burritos chicken burrito. Chicken, rice, cheese, all in that burrito. You can cut 770 milligrams of sodium just by not getting the tortilla. So you can get yourself a burrito bowl or make it a salad. You're cutting that thing by half just by not getting the burrito. Okay? Doesn't matter which one. It can be the spinach, corn, flour. All of them have the same amounts of sodium in them. Now, just because something is not in the Salty Six doesn't mean it doesn't have a lot of sodium in it. Talking with patients in cardiac rehab, cottage cheese is a very popular item. I tend to go over a 24-hour food recall or ask what your favorite foods are. Cottage cheese comes up a lot. 720 milligrams of sodium in 1 cup of cottage cheese. That's a lot. Bisquick. I didn't know how much sodium was in Bisquick prior to putting this presentation together, so this was shocking to me. Almost 700 milligrams in 2/3 of a cup. That makes 4 pancakes. That doesn't include the milk you add, the butter you add, the syrup you're putting on top of it. Maybe you're having it with bacon or sausage or grits. Oh man, you're probably going over 1,000 just in breakfast, okay? Caesar dressing has a lot. Yellow rice. A lot of patients in cardiac rehab tend to tell me, I don't eat white rice anymore because I've heard it's not good. I don't do brown rice because it doesn't taste good. So, it does. Now, some people do tell me it does not taste good. So they make a compromise. They think yellow rice is kind of like an in-between. It's definitely not. It has a lot of sodium in it in just 1 cup. Bob Evans mashed potatoes. I put that one on there because when I was in college, I didn't have a lot of money. I'd go to Kroger's, which was our Publix. You can buy 2 of these for $5. So I thought that was a deal. So I looked at how much sodium was actually in 1 cup of it. Now 1 cup to me is about 2 big spoonfuls. So I was eating almost half that container. I was going way over my sodium limit in just mashed potatoes. Okay? So those are all those foods. You're probably thinking, what the heck am I supposed to eat now? Because I eat a lot of those foods. How am I supposed to keep my sodium intake down? Now, a lot of these are different kinds of tips. Try any ones you want. This is how we're going to do it. First, we are human. We like to go out and eat. Nothing wrong with going out to eat. It's just ordering the right stuff. So if you're someone who likes to go out, dine with your significant other, friends, family, a couple of these will help. Ask your waiter how food's prepared. Nothing wrong with doing that. There's a lot of places around Thomasville that actually a lot of cardiac rehab patients have told me certain restaurants will actually cater to them. I'm on a low sodium diet. Is there anything I can order? They'll give you a list of things probably. Is there any way that I can you not put so much sodium on there? Can you not put as much seasoning on there? Different places will let you do that. Just ask around. Bring your own salt, bring your own seasonings. At different places, what you can do is bring your own Mrs. Dash homemade seasoning, which I'll show you in the next slide what those are. You can ask places if you can season stuff with your own things, or you can use that as your salt, so you're not tempted to use regular table salt on your foods. Go easy on the cheese, olives, deli meats, croutons. If you tend to get a salad before your meal, a lot of us love to put a lot of cheese, a lot of croutons, and a lot of dressing on it. Kind of defeats the purpose of what a salad's supposed to do. That's okay. If you cut all that stuff in half, it'll still taste good, not have as much sodium in it. Foods to be a little cautious of: cheese dips, soups, condiments, salads, and sauces. Sauces in particular. Teriyaki sauce and soy sauce, a couple dabs of that, ooh, you're going over your sodium limit in just like 2 or 3 drips. Okay? So be cautious of those sauces. Now, herbs and spices. In cardiac rehab, I usually do about 45 minutes of education. Patient talks to me, I talk to them. What are some ways we can increase, decrease what we're supposed to be eating, not supposed to be eating? I tend to give a lot of handouts. One of the handouts is a 2-page sheet of different herbs and spices, what they taste like, and what kind of foods they go well with. So for example, you got oregano, goes well with potatoes, chicken, fish, soups. Garlic, I come from a very Italian family, so I never met a food that didn't go well with garlic. Garlic tends to go well with carrots, tomatoes, chicken, fish, stir fries, and then rosemary. Goes well with onions, potatoes, chicken, fish. So you see some of a pattern. A lot of different herbs and spices go well with kind of the same foods. So what you can do, find things you like. I like basil, thyme, oregano, garlic, rosemary, cinnamon. Try different combinations of things. Season them on something. So if one night you're making fish, do your own type of seasonings on it, see how it tastes. If it's something that you really like, make your own little salt shaker out of it, of your own personal seasonings. Added benefit. Herbs and spices taste good. They're going to decrease your sodium intake. Third added benefit, some of them can actually decrease your blood pressure. Garlic, ginger, and cayenne pepper are just 3 that can do that. So adding those into your diet can actually be beneficial. Part 2, if you're someone who doesn't like to put herbs and spices together, you're not Gordon Ramsay, that's okay. Someone's already put them together for you. Most notably, Mrs. Dash. Now, in cardiac rehab, I get a lot of patients that tell me, I'm getting tired of Mrs. Dash. She doesn't taste very good anymore. I got tired of it, and I went back to salt. I tend to tell them there's other seasonings out there, and they were not aware of. This first one, Lowry's Salt-Free 17 seasoning, very delicious. This is what this middle one is on here. That's what we offer in the hospital. That's what we tend to use as a seasoning for patients who are on cardiac diets. The other one is McCormick's Perfect Pinch Salt-Free seasoning. This one's my favorite. This is what I have in my cupboard at home. That's what that red cap is. They have different types of seasonings. Now, be aware, McCormick does make these seasonings, Perfect Pinch, that don't say salt-free. That means they have salt in them. So if it doesn't have this salt-free seasoning on it, that saying right there, it has salt. If you're unaware if something has salt in it, just look at the label. If at any point you see the word salt, it's going to have it. Lemon pepper is one of those. Lemon pepper sometimes has salt in it, sometimes it doesn't. You have to look at the label though. Shopping. This is probably the most difficult thing to do when you're going around different types of grocery stores trying to find things that are low in sodium. I struggled with this as soon as I got to college. I was doing my own shopping because I relied on my mom to do all of it for me. I could not find any low sodium foods to save my life. So when you're looking at a nutrition label, what you want to do, if something has 140 milligrams or less in it, that means it's low sodium. You got the green light to go get it, okay? Reduced sodium. Be a little cautious about that. If something is higher in sodium and it has a reduced sodium label on it, it still might be high in sodium, okay? All that means that reduced sodium is, if you look at the original package, the reduced sodium is 25% less than what that is. So for example, if you have something that is bag of Doritos, I'm making this up, it doesn't have this much. Bag of Doritos has 500 milligrams of sodium in it. If you look at one that says reduced sodium Doritos, it'll have 375 milligrams. Still relatively high. So that's all that means. Now, if it says reduced sodium, it might be pretty low, but always be cautious. Just look to see if it really is lower in sodium. Pay special attention to serving sizes. Prime example of a serving size. Cheerios has 120 milligrams of sodium in it for 3/4 of a cup. Now, 3/4 of a cup might fill someone up for a bowl of cereal. That's generally what a bowl is. 3/4 of a cup of cereal with 1.5 of a cup of milk, depending on how much you like milk. That's a bowl of cereal. Now, for me, I like to get the giant bowl that you get for a party that you put chips in. That's what I tend to that's how much Cheerios I have in one sitting, okay? Now, for me, that's about 6 or 7 servings of Cheerios in one sitting. So I have to multiply 120 by 6 or 7. I'm looking at about 800 milligrams of sodium just in my bowl of Cheerios, okay? So something may be lower in sodium in one serving, but if you're someone who's going to eat 6 or 7 servings of it in one sitting, it's going to be high. And I didn't even add my milk yet. Now, remember we were talking before about that bowl of soup with that healthy request on it? We're going to talk about that now. 3 different foods have 3 different heart labels on them, all mean different things. The soup actually has this, the American Heart Association heart check on it. I'm going to read verbatim what that means. Now, what those do mean is that it is lower in saturated fat, trans fat, total fat, all the good stuff. However, I got a lot of sheets up here. Give me a sec. Here we go. Okay. Now, from the website, they state, look for products with the American Heart Association's heart check mark to find foods that can be part of an overall healthy dietary pattern. This is important. Heart check is not a low sodium program, and the heart check is not necessarily a sign that a product is low sodium. You'd think the American Heart Association would have a low sodium option. They don't. Now, I'm not saying that any of these products will be high in salt. Some of them will actually be lower in sodium. This soup is not. It has a lot of sodium in it. Peanuts. Peanuts are really good. They have that heart on there because they have healthy fats in them. Those healthy fats can actually decrease our LDL, our bad cholesterol. Also very heart protective. Now, peanuts can have various amounts of sodium, depending on if you buy the ones that have no sodium all the way up to heavily salted. This one is a lightly salted. Excellent choice if you are trying to be low sodium on a low sodium diet and like to eat peanuts. That's an excellent option, but always check the label. Oatmeal. They have a heart on theirs. A little hard to see. Their heart means that it is a good source of fiber. Fiber is excellent for heart health. However, some of the oatmeals that you can buy might have a little bit more sodium based on how they're sweetened. So some can have over 200 milligrams of sodium in just one packet. Others may have very little, almost 10 to 20 milligrams. So depending upon what you buy, there'll be various amounts. But just remember, if you do see hearts on any kind of label, don't assume that they're going to be low sodium. Okay? Always check the label. Canned and frozen vegetables. As a dietitian, I'm going to tell you, if getting your vegetable intake comes from canned or frozen, by all means, do whatever you can, get as much as you can. Okay? Doctors and these health experts will tell you that fresh produce is the only way to get fruits and vegetables in. That's not true. If you get your fruit and vegetable intake from canned or frozen stuff, that's fine. I just want you to follow these recommendations. For canned, I want you to buy the no salt added or very low sodium ones. Added with that, I want you to wash it under water. I know a lot of us put it in those strainers, wash it, but do it for at least 30 seconds and get it real good. You can decrease your sodium intake by 30 to 40% just by washing them. That's quite a bit, just for 30 seconds. So keep it under there for a little bit longer, strain it, make sure everything's getting hit by water. You can decrease it quite a bit. Frozen vegetables. Now, I go to the grocery store once a week. I tend to buy 1 to 2 bags of frozen vegetables just because I don't have the time to cook them. I don't have the money sometimes. I don't have the time. Sometimes by the time I get to them, they're already rotten and dead. So I'll get the frozen stuff. Frozen, my favorite kind to get are the Bird's Eye steamed fresh vegetables. You're welcome to get whichever ones you want. My personal favorite are those. I like to get the broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots. California blend is probably the greatest combination of vegetables you can get, in my opinion. You can get one bag is 4 cups of vegetables, 140 milligrams total. That's like nothing. So you get almost your full day's worth of vegetables in one bag. Oh, did I just turn that off? No, okay. So almost nothing. On the flip side, you can get the same exact thing, Bird's Eye, steamed fresh, broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots with a cheese sauce on it. Now remember, I said, be a little cautious about that cheese sauce. That's what happens. Not only do you get 1 cup less of vegetables, but you pretty much multiplied it by 8 for how much sodium is actually in there. That's what the cheese sauce does. So, if you're someone who can't eat the vegetables without any seasoning or without any sauce on it, that's fine. If you want to add a little bit of cheese to it, add your own cheese to it. You can decrease your sodium intake by about 700 milligrams just by adding your own shredded cheese on it, okay? But don't go overboard. Here are some better packaged food options. So if you're someone who likes to eat yellow rice, you're in luck. They make one that is super low in sodium. You're someone who likes crackers, broth, yogurt, popcorn, chips, soup. They make low sodium options. They're out there. Sometimes you'll have to go to different places to find them though. Walmart, Publix, Target, Harvey's, sometimes they won't carry lower sodium options, but the other ones will, okay? If they don't, ask one of the associates there if they can order it specially. Sometimes they will. All you can do is ask. So I know for a fact that low sodium pretzels are sold at Publix. I just bought them last week, so I know they're there. This yogurt, generally that's found in almost all those places. Now this popcorn is found at Walmart. I saw it. So I know for a fact it's there. So you can't come to me and tell me I didn't see it at Walmart. That popcorn is there. I saw it. So those are all good low sodium options. But if there's food that you do like that you don't see on this list, they might have one that is out there. Now, the addicting pretzel recipe. Now I don't know if I saw the pretzels out there, but we did make them today. These pretzels are really good snacks that you can make yourself, and they're super easy. Now, you don't have to frantically write the recipe. I actually have the recipe printed out over there if you want to take it home. All you need, your unsalted pretzels. So if you get the salted pretzels, this recipe isn't really going to work all that well. So definitely get yourself the unsalted ones. Unsalted pretzels, some canola oil, the garlic powder, dried dill, and the Hidden Valley Ranch dry seasoning. Now, dry seasoning tends to have a little bit of sodium in it. That's why you don't use too much, but it does give a nice flavor, okay? All you do is mix that together. It does get messy, but that's the fun in cooking this, is it gets a little messy. Mix all of that stuff together, put it on a cookie sheet, lay it nice and flat, and make sure you drip some of that excess seasoning on there, because it gets left in the bowl. So definitely make sure you season everything really well. Bake those bad boys for an hour at 175. Let them cool for 15 minutes. It's a really good snack. I know that. I actually just made some this weekend, and I've almost eaten all of them. Okay? Now, the 16-ounce bags are what you can buy. You can definitely buy those in bulk and make them. They last for a long time. Okay? Now, to summarize, if there was anything that you guys got out of this presentation, I'd want you to take at least one of these key points home with you. Adequate intake. For those of us that are over 50, have hypertension or any kind of heart issues, kidney disease, diabetes, 1,500 milligrams is how much sodium you should be having per day. So kind of look at that. It's about 500 milligrams to 750 milligrams per meal. Okay? So kind of space out your sodium per meal. Salt is salt. Doesn't matter where it comes from. I know Himalayan salt's one of the big fads. I shouldn't say a fad, but it's one of the big things right now. salt to salt. Now, so Himalayan salt, sea salt have a little bit more nutrients in them because they're not as processed as much, but all of them have sodium in them. So if you use a lot of it, you're getting a lot of sodium in your diet. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It's still going to do the same effect, okay? Salt to salt. Remember the salty six? You got your cold cuts, pizza, soups, breads, chicken, and sandwiches. Herbs and spices, great way to season your food. Some of them can even help you decrease your blood pressure. And always check the nutrition label. That's probably the biggest thing I can tell you that take away from this presentation. Always look at the nutrition label. How much sodium is in it? If it's 140 milligrams or less, you got the green light. If it's a little bit higher, that's okay. I'm not telling you you can't buy anything. And I also want to say that there's nothing wrong with going out and splurging a little bit. Guys, my favorite restaurant is Buffalo Wild Wings. I live in Tallahassee, so I love to go there. Wings with wing sauce is one of the highest amounts of sodium that you can get. Now, what I do is I order the wings, I get a little side of wing sauce, and I dip them in so I don't have as much sodium intake as what I would as if they already sauced them for me, okay? So if you do like to go out, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with having a night out with your significant other, friends, family, have a nice dinner. But if you are someone who likes to go out often, use those tips to try to decrease your sodium intake if you like to do that a lot. Now, if at any point during this presentation you said, that's a lot of stuff, I can't take all that in. I can't do that myself. I'm also the outpatient dietitian. I can help you with any of that. But I also help if you have diabetes, kidney disease, cancer, if you have heart problems or in cardiac rehab, if you want to lose some weight, general healthy eating, if you've had bariatric surgery in the past and you're gaining some of that weight back or you want to continue to lose weight, you're more than welcome to contact me. I can help you with any of that, okay? So I have my phone number and my email on here, as well as Gina Smith, who is my clinical manager. She can also help you out. She also is in charge of the outpatient program. So with all of that, does anyone have any questions? I get that all the time. People always ask me, well, Dr. Oz told me this. Dr. Oz is not a dietitian, but yeah. Yes, I can. He asked me to put my telephone number back up there. I will definitely do that. Now, if you guys do, my business card is actually up here on the table over here with the recipe. So if you want to take that home, you are more than welcome to contact me anytime. I will get back to you within 24 hours. Now, if you call my office phone, sometimes I don't have that because I have multiple offices around the hospital, but I will get back to you within 2 or 3 days if you do call me. But if you email me, within 24 hours, I will get back to you. Just one question, that was it? Yes.
You said 1,500 milligrams a day.
Yes.
What is the percent? You know, when you look on your labels, you see percent
Okay.
sodium.
So the question was 1,500 milligrams of sodium per day. What's the percent of that? Kind of depends upon what you're eating when you look at the nutrition label. I mean, really, when it comes down to it, I mean, really, you're looking at things that are going to be kind of in the teens, 10 to 15% per serving, almost 20% per serving, about 10 to 15% per serving if you're looking at the sodium. What I tend to do is I try to tell people you don't necessarily have to count your calories. Really, the only people that need to count their calories is if you're on a really strict diet or if you're an athlete. Now, when I was helping, when I was in sports nutrition before I came to clinical, I was counting athletes, football players in particular. I was helping NFL players kind of make weight for teams. So I would tell them that they need to watch their calories. The general public, we don't really need to watch our calorie intake. We're more concerned about having lesser amounts of sodium, having lesser amounts of saturated fats and trans fats, and kind of really, really limiting how much sugar we have in our diet, okay? So you don't necessarily have to count your calories per se. So looking at what the percentage of sodium you should have in your diet doesn't really kind of equate to anything. Does that make sense?
The 1,500 milligrams, that is for a person 50 years old?
Yes, 50 years or older. Mm-hmm.
And what is it? Is that pretzel pizza or cottage cheese?
So it's a little less than 3/4 of a teaspoon. It's not half, but it's about it's a little less than 3/4. But you can round it to 3/4 of a teaspoon. She asked how much sodium is 1,500 milligrams of sodium. It's just under 3/4 of a teaspoon. 3/4 of a teaspoon is about 1,700 milligrams. So you'd be okay to do 3/4.
How about French fries?
French fries. Excellent question. Now, French fries in themselves are not all that bad. Now, what happens is, depending on what kind of, obviously they're fried, so we kind of want to decrease our intake of fried foods. But if you're splurging a little bit, so let's say we do want some fries. If you get fries that are deep fried without putting anything on them, they're okay. It's what happens, depending on where you go, McDonald's likes to put a lot of salt on their fries. Wendy's likes to put a lot of salt on their fries. Other places don't put as much salt on their fries. So what I tend to do is if you have a couple of fries, just kind of shake them off a little bit. It sounds silly, but some of that salt's going to fall off if you shake them a little bit. I'd also recommend don't put any more salt on there. So I know when we get our fries, we like to get the salt packets and go kind of crazy on them. So what I would do, I would kind of decrease it. Definitely you can get the oven baked fries. I mean, you can do oven baked fries yourself and season them with different types of seasonings. Like we were talking about with herbs and spices. So that's an excellent question though. I mean, in general, fries are going to be salted, but themselves, they're not really that salty.
So your ketchup is a lot of sugar and a lot of salt.
Correct.
Or a little bit of ketchup.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So what she said was ketchup tends to have a lot of sugar and a lot of salt, which is correct. So your condiments are going to have decent amounts of sugar, decent amounts of sodium in them. So what you really want to do is look at those condiments as well, especially when you're doing sandwiches. Because, I mean, you're putting all those deli meats, that chicken with the bread, and if you put on a lot of condiments like mayo, mustard, ketchup, it's going to add up to quite a bit. You might go over your sodium intake just in one sandwich. Yeah, quite a bit. Yes, ma'am.
I've seen one of them with a lot of some hydration, hydration drinks.
Uh-huh.
And it has a lot of sugar and sodium, a lot of salt, and I'm just wondering, how's that working out? Kind of like on that level or something?
Okay, excellent question. So she asked, there's a lot of home drinks, hydration drinks that are available, and those are kind of becoming a big thing now, especially for someone who's on dialysis. You know, like you said, try to stay hydrated. Those are kind of they're kind of hit or miss. Those are on a lot of TV shows. Drink this, and it's got lemon juice is a big thing right now. You put some sugar in it, you put some salt in it. They're not really necessary. Best thing to stay hydrated is just drink water. It's usually the best thing. There's a lot of different things. Dr. Oz will say a lot of things. The doctors, that TV show, they'll have a lot of different nutrition things that they'll put on there. Tried and true, fruits, vegetables, and water. I mean, those things have withstood the test of time, and that's what work. So what I would say, they're not really that necessary. I would just try to drink as much water as you can. You're probably getting adequate amounts of sodium, potassium. That's what most of those drinks are for. It's kind of like making your homemade Gatorade, essentially. I mean, if you feel that you're deficient in those things, you can always ask your doctor what your blood levels look like. Okay, so you can always just have the doctor check blood levels. So if the doctor does say that they're deficient in certain nutrients, I would definitely recommend getting those in food first. But I mean, if they're still deficient, you can definitely talk with a doctor or a dietitian and see if there are some other options that you can go through. Yes?
You mentioned Cheerios.
Cheerios, yes.
Cheerios, when I eat breakfast, I eat cereal in the morning.
Okay.
Two things.
Yes.
Talk about cereals and sodium, and then talk about how this is sweeteners.
Okay. So he asked, I eat cereal every day. Talk about cereal, and do you want their sodium content or just in general how much?
I eat cornflakes.
Okay. Okay. Cereals in general. I mean, if you're looking at, I mean, a lot of cereals like Lucky Charms, Trick cereal, Reese Pieces, those things are going to be higher in sugar and sodium. Generally, I try to tell people don't eat too much of those. Now, when it comes to like Cheerios, Raisin Bran, oatmeal, that stuff's good. That's fine. You can definitely eat those. But like myself, I tend to eat 6 or 7 servings in one sitting. I definitely would not recommend doing that. I definitely need to decrease the amount I eat. So those are fine. Definitely eating cereal is a good option. I always try to tell people eat something in the morning if if you are hungry. Sweeteners, definitely I'd recommend that over regular sugar if you are a diabetic. Are you diabetic, may I ask? Okay. Sweeteners, they're okay. I mean, there's a lot of research out there that some are better than others, that some may cause migraines. There's not a whole lot of long-term research out there for what the consequences are. But I mean, if you're using Sweet and Low or Splenda, or and that's something that you want to continue to use, that's absolutely fine.
I'm using stevia in the raw.
Okay.
Stevia in the raw.
He has stevia in the raw. That's fine. You're fine. You are fine. Yes.
On salads, I have found that the diet salad dressings for the salads are higher in sodium than the regular. So how do you balance that out if you're trying to get less calories as well as lower sodium?
Excellent question. So she asked, she sees a lot of diet salad dressings on there, and those tend to have higher amounts of sodium. So how can we, I guess, find better options, right? This is usually what the problem is. If something is low in fat, 99 times out of 100, even higher than that, it's going to have a lot more sodium in it because you have to make up for the amount of taste that you just lost. Fat adds a lot of taste to things, okay? So when you decrease that, you're going to increase the sodium to make it taste good. Salt does not have any calories in it. So you can eat a ton of salt, it's not going to have any calories. That's why they put a lot of salt in things. So if you have some, like on Applebees, they have their 700-calorie dishes, all those are going to be lower in fat. But the amount of sodium in those, that's why they're so high. So there's more than 2,000 milligrams in a lot of what they have. When it comes to salad dressings, typically Italian, Caesar, ranch, those ones are going to be what are high in sodium and in fat, even if they have a reduced fat one. So finding usually the vinaigrettes tend to be a little bit better, but there's really no dressing that's the best per se. It's just using smaller amounts of it. So that's really what I can recommend when it comes to salad dressings.
What if you kind of make your own?
You can do that too.
Simple. Would that be less like?
I'd actually recommend that if you have the time and desire to do that, because you will definitely have a lot less fat and a lot less sodium in it if you buy the certain products. Saw a question back there. Yes, sir. Gatorade. Gatorade. Excellent question. Okay. Question was Gatorade. I don't know if I'll get in trouble for saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. When I was working with college players, college prospects trying to get into the NFL, I was working at a facility, and we had the Gatorade representative there. They were giving those athletes Gatorade. What we drink in the grocery store is not what the athletes get. They get something completely different. And let me tell you, it tastes like garbage. It is disgusting. It has higher amounts of sodium, higher amounts of potassium, phosphorus. It's got all the electrolytes in it because athletes lose a lot of electrolytes when they're working out. The general public, our body actually makes quite a bit of electrolytes that we don't really need to replenish it all that much. Now, there are obviously certain cases to where we will need to replenish, but generally, we don't need to replenish our electrolytes. So what we are buying in the grocery store is just a lot of sugar with a little bit of electrolytes in it. Doesn't do too much. Now, if your doctor has recommended you drink Gatorade, by all means, do what your doctor tells you. Okay, a lot of doctors will say that, especially if you've had a heart attack, sometimes you get an electrolyte imbalance. So what you want to do is drink Gatorade if they tell you to do that. I would recommend getting the Gatorade Zero or Powerade Zero. That way you don't have any sugar in it. So that's definitely something that you can do. But if you're just drinking it for the electrolytes, you can get it from food easily, and not from a drink, because there's not even that much electrolytes in it. Okay. I would definitely try to drink a little bit more water, but has your doctor recommended that you drink Gatorade? I mean, you're more than welcome to. What I would try to do is do like half of it, kind of water it out a little bit. Because if you do watch games, whether it's pro or basketball, football, you see the Gatorade cups, you don't see the whole bottle. It's because they take shots. Shots are disgusting. That's what they take. It's just a lot of different electrolytes with a small flavoring in it. They shoot it back. That's why they can't drink a whole thing of that, because it's going to sit in their stomach. There's a lot of sugar in it. That's not what's actually in a lot of Gatorades that the athletes are getting. So I would try to water down the Gatorade if possible, but I don't know your medical history. So if getting the electrolytes from the Gatorade's helping, by all means, I would keep doing it. Yes? Yeah. Do you want me to go back to the chicken slide? To the chicken slide? I can do that. So she wants to go back to the chicken slide. Now, what in particular did you have? Oh, the list of the 6. Okay. So chicken, so these are just the list of the 6 that we went through. Now, chicken itself is not salty. Sometimes if you get the frozen kind, if you get the frozen chicken, sometimes they'll inject like a sodium solution in there, kind of balloons them up a little bit, make them a little bit more tenderized a little bit. But if you buy the produce chicken, you're good to go. It's what we do to the chicken that makes it high. So chicken itself is not bad. It's how we prepare it is how it's bad. No, if you're, well, are you ordering? So she said, I'm not punishing myself if I get baked chicken over fried chicken. Are you getting it at a restaurant? Are you getting baked chicken instead of fried chicken at a restaurant, or are you making it yourself? Oh, at Archbold. Okay. No, definitely. So she said, so I asked her if she was getting the baked chicken over fried chicken at a restaurant. She said, no, I'm actually getting it here at Archbold. So now, I am not caught up on how they're preparing, like if they are seasoning the grilled chicken a certain way. I'd have to actually look into that, so that's actually a really good question. I got homework to do now. It's always a better option to go with the grilled chicken. It does, just all the time go with the grilled chicken over the fried chicken. When it comes to the sodium content, I'm not 100% sure how they season that, but at that point, if you're getting the grilled chicken over fried, just keep doing that. You're good to go. Yes?
Have you heard anything about the coconut water?
Coconut water. Okay, she asked about coconut water. Can I ask if you're a cardiac patient? Do you have heart issues? Okay. Okay. So she does have cardiac issues. When it comes to anything coconut, I try to tell all my cardiac patients stay away from it. Coconuts have saturated fat in them, okay, and lots of it. That's something we're trying to decrease as much as possible. I know coconut oil was one of the big fads going on, and it kind of still is. I try to tell anyone that's got a heart problem, you probably want to stay away from coconut anything. The amount of saturated fat in it is super high, and it's going to cause a little more issues. Now, coconut water, you're kind of better off just drinking regular water, honestly. So I would try to.
I demoed it one time, and they said it would rehydrate your body faster than Gatorade.
Can I ask who said that?
That company didn't.
The company that makes it. That's why. So she said that she had talked to someone who said that coconut water will rehydrate you better than Gatorade. And she said the company said that. Companies will try to sell you on anything. Prime example, I mean, I hate throwing Himalayan salt under the bus, but it's the big thing right now, and I try to tell people. So Himalayan salt, if you don't know it, anyone that doesn't know, it's pink salt. It's the big thing right now. There's a giant salt mine in Pakistan, which is where all of this comes from, and they can actually mine that thing for about 400 years, and we'll still have plenty of salt from that place. They talk about all the added benefits that pink salt has, and make sure I don't go over my limit. It's almost 7 o'clock. What pink salt, it has all kinds of trace elements. I think there's like 84 nutrients that are in pink salt in trace amounts. Now, when it comes to pink salt, if you want to try to get your recommended daily intake for like potassium from salt, you have to eat about 4 pounds of it. If you're eating 4 pounds of salt, we definitely need to talk, okay? So you don't need all of those added elements from salt. I can tell you how to get it easily from eating a piece of banana or an orange or some broccoli. That's where it comes from. Now with pink salt, there's less amounts of sodium compared to table salt, but salt is salt and sodium is sodium. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It's all getting used the same way, okay? And the whole purpose of this is try to decrease the amounts of sodium. So even though there's like a better option out there, it's still sodium. We're trying to decrease as much of it as we can in our diet because we have 6,000 to 7,000 milligrams in our diet as it is. So we're trying to find ways to decrease it, not find better options for sodium. Are there any more questions? Okay. Thank you guys for coming out. If you have any questions, feel free to talk to me. My card and that recipe for those pretzels are over on that table. Thank you very much.